Hey everyone, it's creepingnet here, and we are about to try some crazy repairs on my NEC Versa P75. Yeah, we're using the baking soda and dollar store super glue trick. We're gonna see how well it works, because I've got a few plastic parts here that broke off from inside. I mean, there's this little bit right here that the latch in front uses, and then there's this little chunk from the side back where the cover panel goes. There's also a third piece right here. I'm not even sure what it goes to. So I'm trying out a new recording setup. Hopefully it's not too terribly janky. I'm also recording this on my Mac. So yeah, this is going to be my first video with the Macintosh. So we're going to go ahead and get started. First thing I got to do, NEC Versa, we're going to pop the top open. We have to take the screen off these two little latches in back. Yeah, it just comes off nicely. I'm just going to set it down here. Now that we have that, close the latches. Now we need to take out the battery and this. And while it's in position, I think, I'm going to try and kind of tape all this together over here, because you can see where the cracks are. I mean, there's a bunch of them. I'm going to take the battery. We're going to take the floppy drive out, but I'm going to wait until after it's taken apart. Anyway, this is the P75 on the undercarriage. I'm going to kind of go over general areas on these NEC Versa where they get broken the most. Right here you have a crack, as you can see, that runs through the battery release mechanism and this whole section here. There's also a missing chunk of plastic there. I'm going to probably use my... I'm going to use either masking tape or foil tape. Probably... I'm going to probably use packing tape, because I find that generally works best when I'm doing stuff like this. So yeah. Oh, no, we took the floppy out, so we're going to take this out. Battery. Right here, yeah. Then we have on the M75, I'm going to take everything out, because I want this, everything out except for the trackball, because I want to be able to push all this together like it should have been from the factory. And I'm going to probably put some stuff down in there and make this even more taut. P75, if you have like an ultralight Versa or the M75 or the 40, the E series, there's usually an extra screw over here. This one omits that, and I think that's part of why it cracks over here. Usually most of the damage occurs in back over here. You can see where I have freaking tape over some of this stuff. There might even be some sections where we might do some custom fabrication too. I mean, might have to. Pull this out. As you can see, my PCMCIA door is no longer attached. It has a latch in there, but no spring. So there's a bunch of stuff. I mean, this is the stuff that I'm going to probably start doing before too long, and maybe even flipping these laptops. You can see there's a crack right there in the back where the freaking motherboard is. I mean, I'm going to make this sucker solid from the inside out by the end of the day, if it's the last thing I do. Gotta take all these screws out. I usually just use a screwdriver. It's just mildly magnetic to do this. I actually use a screwdriver more often than not. Hopefully you can hear me well enough. It's the first time I'm recording with this kind of goofy setup. Yeah. Coming soon, I have a new video in the works for the history of these, and I'm actually picking up 2 more at least. I'm gonna try get it, and I've got another M75 coming. I'm trying to get my hands on an ultralight Versa. The original one doesn't have the trackball. It's, you know, runs at the bus speed. And then I'm gonna try to get my hands on a P7 or a P, or not P, Versa V, which is the one with the non-removable screen. So we have all the different variants, and you can kind of see what they look like. So this video just kind of goes over how I repair this with how I repair these things with different methods. I mean, I might use some, I got some other backup methods with me today. I've got JB Weld steel stick, which I used on my screen hinges. Typically there's a section in the middle of the hinge housing that cracks under stress, so I put that in there. And then of course I have the JB Weld original. It's the same stuff I was using earlier on these. So right now I'm going to just pull it out. Now you take off the battery door, or the memory door, I mean. Pull out my Kingston memory. My hard drive, it's the 80 gig with FreeDOS on it. And then we just sort of lift it up like that. Common problems with the ultralight, with the Versa in general, is all this cracking plastic. We might even see if we can there's some tape right there that I need to remove. What I'm doing is I'm doing this for multiple reasons. 1, inform people. 2, just document what I've done. 3, I'm trying to fix the mouse. On the P75, for some weird reason, this frontal structure, like you can already see the damage there. I mean, the freaking keyboard bezel is cracked there. I'm gonna try to I might try to fix that, but that's about like these little side pieces here that come off, because these are supposed to be permanently attached to the case. So I'm just gonna see what can be done. Okay. Also see I have a thing right here that needs removed. I have a pair of side cutters. One of the bearings here has gotten stuck. Or not bearings, but this little guy. We'll talk about brass inserts, and I might have some ideas for that too. I'm doing this before the M comes back. It comes in. See, I've got a brass thing. Power button. Don't lose it. At least not yet. I'm planning eventually to be able to mold parts for these things. Yeah, it's gonna wipe my CMOS. I know. I'm gonna pull this out. Right now I have an M75 CMOS battery in here because P75 one doesn't work. So we're gonna pull all that out. I didn't even bother detaching any of that. I just removed the CPU board and the keyboard and all that all at once. I usually do that. You can see. Then you have this. This is the bridge battery. I'm gonna say NEC really did kind of design these things well. Then we're gonna take the whole top out. And then you have that plastic piece right there. It broke off. So there's the aluminum endoskeleton right there. Yeah. So you're going to put that up there. This is the power control board. It just lifts off. You can see some more carnage in here. That's where I had foam actually pushing this because there was nothing built up there to actually hold it in place. Then we're going to remove the Versa track connector there, and then the motherboard, which should just lift out. But This thing can be kind of stubborn, especially right now. This is like it is. So I'm going to pull those out, and then we're going to take this motherboard. Yeah, these standoffs love to come out. Not to give up too much, but I am planning eventually to probably... Shoot, drop the screw. I am planning to use some Alumilite to mold new parts for these. We'll talk about that later. I was thinking when the second M75 comes in, that's when we'll tackle that stuff. Anyway, right here I've got to get this out of the bottom plastic. Yeah, I have a lot of tape inside this thing holding it together. I mean, Versas are like stupid delicate. And that's like the only thing wrong with these. The cases get broken all the freaking time. But the actual motherboard and the circuit and all this, top notch. I mean, it keep my M75, the one that the case did the same thing this one's starting to do. It still works. Yeah, actually, just to show you, that's the ESS audio drive sound chip there. It's actually a removable daughter card, like they actually thought they were going to do a version without sound. Anyway, now we're going to do some things here. Now I'm going to focus on this stuff. We're going to pull this part out. That's your latch. And then I'm going to probably start by sprinkling some stuff in here, you know? Start by building up some material in all the stress points. There's one spot right there I'm missing a screw anchor, or the actual piece of plastic where the screw's supposed to go, so I might actually file that down and put an actual piece there. I did all this so it wouldn't short out, keeping mindful of the vents. Seriously thinking about taking this section here. Before we do anything, I'm going to kind of sprinkle some stuff and then drizzle some super glue in there. Okay. Now, I'm going to try and come up with some kind of decent applicator for this. I mean, I've got this little screwdriver, but I don't think I want to use that. So here's kind of what I'm thinking I'm gonna do here when I start out on this. I'm going to take this, probably put some tape under there. I'm thinking we should take the Versa track out though, because if I don't, it's going to get glued in place, and I want to be able to actually, you know, put this thing back together when I'm done and have it be like a solid piece. So what I'm going to do here, is I'm going to do this. Take some of this janky tape I have here, and I'm going to put it, this is the stuff I used to stripe the Van Halen guitar. Use some of this, and I'm going to just sort of put it along the bottom, like where the crack actually is. I have just a little area with a little bit of give. Or actually, no, better. So, use some Scotch tape. And here's what I'm going to use Scotch tape on this. I'm going to use Scotch tape on this because I want it to be pliable enough that I can pull it together with another piece of tape afterward, because I want to put some I want to put some actual stuff here that's going to hold this in place. And the baking soda should be instantaneous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a very light applicator, kind of dust some along this edge here, and then we're going to take this portion and reattach it. Be right back. Okay, back. Got my hibachi skewer. We're going to take some baking soda here. We're going to try to just sort of get a little bit on the skewer. I mean, because the idea is, so with baking soda and this stuff, you have a bit of a exothermic reaction that occurs. You have a bit of an exothermic reaction that occurs. This is also a trick they use on guitar nuts. I've never actually used it before because I always cut my stuff at the right depth. Well, I do have one guitar that needs it. But here we go. You have an exothermic reaction that occurs between the baking soda and the super glue. It heats it up, causes it to... Basically, you're welding plastic together. I mean... It doesn't get much better than that. So, but I'm trying to think, what is going to be the maximum application I can do and not glue this thing to the desk? So here's how I'm going to do it. We're going to take this tape here, and then I'm going to try something. I'm going to have a little brush in here. Try just kind of, I'm going to kind of try to brush it on. Maybe I'll sort of try to brush something right there. We're going to just sort of brush a light amount around the edge. The whole idea here is I'm going to brush some into the plastic. And then when that's done, brush some on that edge. Then when that's done, we're going to put it on there like that. And then we're going to brush some more right here into that crack. I'm just going to kind of, I'm going to start by doing this. We're going to glue, very carefully we're going to super glue right along this edge here. Very carefully. We're going to try avoid putting any super glue anywhere we don't want it. And then I'm going to stick this part together, and then we're going to start sweeping that into the crack right there. And then we're going to push this together right there. All right, it seems like it's working pretty well. Yeah, that stuff dries pretty quick. Now I'm going to push this together right here. Glue this section right there. And then we're going to take some of this and just dust it over it. Push it into the super glue right there. So now I see a section where we're going to need to put the lid back on the super glue for a brief moment. And I see a section right about here where it's going to have to be just, you know, ever so tightly done. Yeah, make sure that still works. Yeah, that's good. This is like brain surgeon work. Actually, I'm going to use some of the old tape I was using on the outside first. I don't waste much of anything when I work on these things. So we're going to pull this off. That's the bottom. Now we're going to put this on there. And we're going to sort of, it's packing tape, so it should be a little stronger. The whole idea here is I'm going to powder on some stuff here. You can kind of see what you probably can't see what I'm doing very well, but you probably kind of can. So I'm actually filling these gaps with the baking soda super glue mixture. So there we go. Now we're gonna take that, push it into the crack. Like that. And the idea here is I'm going to shove it all in there. Make it really weld in. Because I want it to be as close to stock as possible. There you go. And then we're adding a little extra in this area here. I don't know if you can see it. We're adding a little extra in that corner there for a little more strength. Yeah, so you can, it's really hard for me to get a good light on it. So yeah, you can kind of see where I've been working. So I've been just kind of sweeping it in. And the reason why I'm doing that is I'm trying to get this as pushed together as possible. And those repairs there, the repairs that are resulting are really freaking hard. I'm actually kind of impressed with this because I was a little skeptical. Make sure my mechanism still works for the battery latch. It looks like it is. Or for the floppy drive latch. Looks like it still is. You can see how much of that super glue, I mean, it's like super glue baking soda, how much of that is already there. So I'm gonna probably dust some more. I'm gonna probably keep my applicator closed so it doesn't dry out. And then I'm gonna just put some more right over here. Like that. And then we're just gonna kind of push it down into the crack. And we're going to do the same right here with this. I'm going to just dust it in, a bunch of it. And then we're going to take my applicator again here, and we're going to just sort of glue it in like that, right there. And then right here, we're going to do another layer of super glue. And I might even reinforce some of this back here by putting super glue on that. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to sweep all that over here, build a little more of a more durable area right there. So I'm also thinking kind of for the future, because I'm intending to keep these things going for a while. A long while. Like, until they're considered completely vintage. By, like, everybody, and not just a handful of us who like to play DOS games. Okay, now we got that one section right there. Needs a little more super glue right there. I'm going to build up some material, and then I'm going to take this and just dust it on there. And we're going to push it in. This is kind of the way I'm kind of welding this all back together. And then, probably after this, I'm going to test fit my floppy drive. So, there's that one little spot. There. You kind of see a little spot there where it needs a little more support, right there, right about there. So you can kind of see where I'm going to need to. I'm going to kind of. So right here, all this is holding, and it's holding pretty good. Be right back. Wife's got something to do. What? I had to go do something for her. God. Adobe Flash. Freaking jerk. Yeah. Adobe Flash decided to jump in. Okay. Anyway. NEC Versa. Back to business. Yeah, so far, it looks like it's holding. You can see it's holding up pretty good. It's not perfectly aligned right here, but I guess that'll work. What I think I'm going to do next is I'm going to work from the bottom on it now. Or actually, what I'm going to do here, before I do anything else, we're going to take this bottom bit out here. This bit of shielding, because there's a section right back here where I saw where it was starting to crack. And I kind of want to address all this kind of stuff before it becomes like a serious issue. We're also going to maybe try to fix that screw anchor there. I mean, like, dabble on super glue, dabble on stuff, dabble on super glue, dabble on more stuff. Right back here, I'm going to find where the break is. I'm going to have to take that out. Yeah, so far my repairs are going pretty swimmingly. And this is actually pretty quick. So we're going to take this little piece of heat shielding out back here. And now, right here, and I don't know if you can see this, but there's a section there right by the jacks where it was cracking when I was taking it apart. So I'm going to kind of try to punch all that back together while I'm in there. Actually, let's focus on that region. So as you can see, there's a little area there where it's kind of cracking. We'll bring it in even closer. You can see there it's kind of cracking and back. So I'm going to kind of try to fill in that region with some reinforcement. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to dust on a little bit of this right here, baking soda. It's a little much, but okay. But hey, if it gets in the crack, it's actually a good thing, because then it means it's going to actually like make for a solid structure. We're going to go in the back here, and we're going to follow this whole area down here. And I'm just going to kind of squeeze that bottle all the way across. And then, after that's done, we're going to sweep in more stuff, more baking soda. And this is a part of this. You see, this is what I mean by strengthening the structure. I mean, you can see already it's making that really hard. I'm like pushing it in there. It's making that like a really tight repair. Let's see here. Let's just kind of brush those out. And there you go. It's pretty much rock solid now. It's pretty much rock solid now. There's some other spots I might build up some more structural integrity into too, but we're going to pull the camera back out. Loving this new camera setup. My God. And yeah, I'm doing this with the motherboard nearby. Anyway, we got some other stuff that I'm going to tackle real quick, but I'm going to flip it over to the bottom so we can deal with all that. I'm going to try to figure out a way that I'm going to work this out. I'm probably going to have to sand this or drill this and put a piece of plastic over it with a hole in the middle or something like that. That might be the way we're going to have to deal with this piece right here, because yeah, I want this thing to be pretty rock solid. And this is what I'm going to be doing probably with most of my NEC Versa going forward, is the baking soda trick. Because so far I'm liking how it holds up. And we'll check back probably in about 6 months and see how it holds up once I'm done with all this. So now you can see we have this section here where I put the packing tape. I'm going to peel that off. As you can see, there's already baking soda superglue matrix already built right there. I mean, it's holding together, and my latch still works. I'm going to kind of go through here, do a visual inspection, see if there's anything else that I might need to do. I mean, I think this part right here, we might have to patch up a little bit. But that'll be pretty easy. I'm just going to fill in little cracks here, but I'm going to try to stay away from this right here because I don't want to glue my latch in place, because then that just makes batteries absolutely impossible to fill in. And then we're going to focus on some of the other plastic pieces. All right, so push that in there. Actually, the next piece is probably going to go in. I'm probably going to do from the top is this guy right here, which is for the latch, but I'm going to focus on the bottom a little bit because this is like the most delicate area on a Versa P75, and getting it just right is just tantamount to, you know. And that's part of the reason I filled most of this in really heavily on the top. I mean, you know, I want this to last. I want this to stay together. And I bet some people are going to be like, but you're dragging all that stuff through all these mechanisms and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, so? Yeah. And I'm testing this out not just for me, but for you guys. I'm going to probably buy more laptops and fix them up and flip them. I mean, it's ridiculous. When I started this channel, it was supposed to be a computer channel. This was the stuff I was supposed to be doing, you know, like, I don't know, 12 years ago. Before 8-Bit Guy, before LGR. They do it better, probably, because they have better production, but, I mean, Not very many. I have yet to see a single video on NEC on fixing laptop cases with baking soda and Superglue and JB Weld and all the different stuff that I've done to fix the repair or fix and repair these things. You know, I don't know anyone who's planning to mold their own parts. This is the stuff I'm getting into because I'm getting just, you know. First off, if we want these things to last at all, we're going to have to start getting realistic. I mean, these computers were designed to last maybe 10 years at most by the manufacturer. But, you know, superior Japanese engineering on the Versas, superior engineering in general on the ThinkPads, I mean, that's why they're still around. And granted, all that superior engineering talk that I'm doing, it is, you know, subjective. I'm talking about in the time, not like compared to now. I don't think I've seen a single laptop in the last 10 years that ever needed I'm going to stop about there. Then we're going to do this right about here. And then right about there. Now I'm going to sweep some baking soda into it, and we're going to sort of... That's why I put excess baking soda on here, is because you can see it actually isn't that visible of a repair, really, which is kind of amazing when you think about it. I mean, we're basically using dollar store super glue. And it's just basically I'm welding. So I want to talk a little bit about why I started doing this. So I did research and I was like, you know, I've had the JB Weld crack. I've had other stuff crack on these machines before after I repaired it. And my thought was, there must be some way. And I kept seeing everywhere, all the guitar videos, fill in your nut with baking soda and super glue and refill it if you over drilled it. And then I started seeing people, you know, talking about doing that with like alarm clock radio. One of the guys on YouTube did it with an alarm clock radio. And then, you know, I'm just like, why isn't anybody doing this with vintage laptops or vintage computers in general? I mean, come on. I mean, this is freaking hard. This is actually harder than the plastic the NEC Versa shipped with. You know? Yeah, I'm just sort of dusting it off. And then you're like, Mike, but you're dusting all this crap all over your electronics. I'm like, I don't care. This stuff is gonna get road worn. I don't collect my computers to have them sit around on a shelf and go, hey everyone, here's this computer that you never see me actually run. No, I run these things, and I run them almost like a daily driver. In FreeDOS alone, my P75, I listen to MP3s on it, I surf the internet on it, I answer emails on it sometimes. I do circuit design, I do documents, I mess around with game engines like Adventure Game Studio and Official Hamster Republic. I mean, I'm using these old 486 and freaking Pentium laptops still to this day, like I was in 2001. And I actually have more functionality now than I did then, thanks to FreeDOS. So, let's test. So, take a look at that. I mean, that is a pretty solid repair. I mean, it feels solid. I'm not one to BS anyone on this. I mean, I'm the most complaining person about... I complain so much when stuff like this doesn't work. Now, that said, I'm not going to say it's the perfect solution yet, but I want to hold and see how this does in 6 months. And I want to see if I can maybe get it where I can actually, you know, sand it, drill it, maybe make it, you know, look like it's supposed to be there. I've got the right sandpaper for this. I found out that I think it is something like 800 grit. You end up with almost the same surface texture as a NEC Versa. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And yeah, if you hear a man yelling in the background, I kind of got Bithead going in the background. I watched the show. The greatest video game show in all of human civilization. And you better believe that. With a full kid face! Yeah, I love it when he ends it with that. I watch a lot of different YouTubes, and I'm going to probably babble a lot through this video. So yeah, I've been waiting a few months to try this trick, and it's January now, and you know, sweeping it all around. But yeah, I mean, it works. It really works. I'm shocked. I'm quite impressed. It actually holds up. Not sure what I'm gonna do about this piece. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do about this piece. I mean, I might have to put like a screw or a bolt or something through it. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah. Rebuilding 90s laptops. It's freaking hilarious. And actually something I need to look at before I think about it, because I've thought about filling these holes, because I've noticed all the other Versas, the M7, the M series, the E series, the V series, the P series, the Ultralight, they don't have that section. When I look here, but I want to look and see, I think the tangs on the front of this actually do go through there. And that adds some structural rigidity to the front of the case, somehow. I mean, because I don't see a reason why there needs to be two holes in the bottom. Let's take a look at where the jack was. Yeah, that looks a little jacked, to say the least. It's not perfect, but I'm sure as my techniques improve. And you know, I use these things. I don't just put them on display. These aren't display models. These are used, and they're used hard. Yeah, let's take a look at the repairs here. I mean, you can see the repair there. Let's test fit my floppy drive while I'm at it. Make sure it still fits. Whoa. Too many projects. People call me the man of too many hobbies. I think they're right. Anyway, let's see. Does it fit in there? Oh yeah, that looks like that's going to actually fit perfectly. I have a little bit there that I need to, you know, mill out. I got a file. I can do that. Let's go do that real quick. Big messy drawer. It pays to be a guitar player and a computer guy. Maybe that's why there's so many of us who do that. Who do both. And this sounds about like a guitar nut. I'm not gonna lie. I'm all about fit and finish with this stuff. Yeah, this is holding up pretty well. Cyanoacrylate, man. Cyanoacrylate. But yeah, I mean, so far that's pretty good. It's pretty solid. But yeah, I do need to do some sanding and other stuff here. Let's see how well it does now. It might be down, because these Versas have like some real leeway in the chassis. I think that's one of the reasons they have so many problems with fitting parts, you know. Yeah, like that's going to be perfect. I mean, it fits like factory in there. It might be a little tight, but that might not be a bad thing. Let's check the mechanism. It works. I mean, it fits like freaking factory, almost. Let's go ahead and find something a little more coarse. Just a little more coarse. Here we go. Yeah, I advertise other people's channels. I miss the days when YouTube was a community, not a corporate sponsorship. And I want it to be, you know, solid enough that's going to stay together, but I want it to be, you know, I want it to be perfectly fitting enough that I'm not going to have to worry about, you know, stuff falling off and falling apart while I work. There's my ugly belly there. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. Because the goal here is I'm going to have it where, you know, this can go in and out like stock. And we got to check the fitment all the way around. So far it looks pretty good though. I mean, those two are level and those parts should be level. Let's see, it's sitting flat. Let's check the fit and finish from the bottom. I mean, from the bottom, yeah, it's a little, it's not even, no, actually, it's factory. Go figure. Yeah, now you get to see the quality of my work. This is why a project takes me a million years. It's because just stuff like this. Alright, let's see if we can put this piece back in. This is part of the reason I took all this out, was because this piece right here. So this piece right here fits about there, like that. As you can see, this is for the front latch. This is for this piece that locks the screen down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to powder that. Right there. Powder that. And I'm going to try to kind of fill on the inside, not on the outside. Maybe build up some material in here to make it a little more solid. Because if you look real close right here, right about there between those two, you see those two pockets there? There's like no point in having those there. They don't hold anything there. If you look at the bottom of the freaking keyboard bezel, there's like nothing that goes in there anywhere. I mean, that's the area, but I mean, that area is going, the area that would match up with that is right there, and there's nothing there. There's like maybe supposed to be a snap, but I'm not worried about that. Oh yeah, and if I can get this to stay together and snap on with that kind of quality, man, oh man. Yeah, so yeah, I got a few things cut out for me today. Stick this piece back in there. Right beneath the jacks where it goes. Actually, I'm going to wait before I put all this stuff back in. So yeah, this is a good test subject too. So, see, I still got to figure out what we're going to engineer for that. I have no idea yet. I'm pretty sure I can take a regular screw that's supposed to go in there and fit it in there. Or I can maybe dig around and find, maybe there's like a chunk of plastic like that somewhere else that I can do something with. I don't know, we'll see. Maybe I can just completely build a whole new structure there. Like, put it over that with like some silly putty or something. Then flip this around with it taped in. And then build a super glue structure and very carefully like just sort of work a miniature hole into there. And yeah, basically I could reproduce this whole thing. Baking soda and super glue. Not bad, huh? Anyway. Actually, this is another part where kind of, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how everything else plays out while I'm in here. Okay, so we've got the front structure. We've got it where it fits. We've got this section here. I'm going to inspect for other cracks that might be forming because I don't want this stuff. I don't want this stuff getting all jacked up. You know, I want this thing to be a brick shit house when I'm done, if possible, or at least close enough to one. We have one other piece that fits over here, and that's for the PCMCIA door. And that's got a little fill-in section over there too. So yeah, we got that little section there. So I'm just going to put that over there for now. But right now we're going to focus on this, because this is part of the reason why my trackpad is going bad. Because this over here is part of the reason why my trackpad is going bad. Because this is a major part of the structure. I mean, it is. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a piece of notepad here. You know, and before y'all start bludgeoning me over some of my preferences in YouTube channels, please understand that I don't agree with everything they do, but I do agree with a lot of stuff. Okay, so got a little piece of paper here because you know I'm gonna be honest here. I'm trying to keep this thing as close to original as possible. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take some of this stuff that we just powdered up and we're gonna dust it onto here. So now I'm gonna stick some of this in there. I'm just gonna kind of roll it around in there, and I'm gonna try to put it in there that way. So we're going to put that there. We're just going to kind of try to build some structure here. And we're very quickly going to put that piece where it goes, like that, before we do anything further, because, oh shit. And that's why I don't use regular super glue normally, because it's just too much of a pain doing it that way. And you saw how my other fix-its in this video so far have really been kind of useful. So now I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to hammer some. I'm just going to, whoa. So we're back at it. I'm going to kind of drizzle some more in here. I'm going to try to fill that section there. I think that might be a good spot to do some super glue welding. You know, make this region really solid because it's yeah, it's pretty jacked. Okay, so as you can see here, you can see even after I cleaned it all away, it's still there. There's quite a bit of a baking soda super glue matrix there. Okay, now I'm gonna sweep up some from over here. Some of this stuff, because I don't waste material. I don't. Almost everything that I build, modify, customize, do stuff on, whether it's my guitars, my truck, my computer, I don't waste material. And I'm not wasting this. And this is probably helping it adhere because it's putting some of the original plastic in there too to go with it. So it's basically forming an even more aggressive bond probably than it would be if I was just doing this without. It's a messy process, but it's not that messy. All right, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look here and I'm going to see how much other stuff I can add to the structure in this region to make it sturdier. Because what I want to do is I want to have this, there's a crack kind of along this section here, and I want to fill that in, and I want to fill maybe that little box next to that in, so then when I put this part back on, it's built like a brick shit house. That's kind of the way I'm rebuilding this thing anyway. But as you can see, I mean, it's coming along. It's a pretty good little repair. Yeah, so I'm going to find something for me to prop this up on that's actually good and sturdy and built like a truck. So, yeah. Got a little box over here that would be perfect for this. And so this is going to be a little harder now because I'm doing this. No, I'll probably just stick my baking soda box there. I don't know how well you can see though. But this is, I'm going to try to, maybe I'll put the baking soda behind it. I don't know. Let's see. See if I can stick this up. This is a pretty good little box to put that on. You can just stick the baking soda like there. You can see where I've got it. So now I just gotta dust on a little more. Yeah. How I'm converting an NEC Versa into a brick shithouse. All right. Let's just glue this stuff together. Yeah, right on there. And then we'll just push it all in like that. See? And I can even kind of smell. It smells like the plastic is welding to it. Here we go. There we go. And that's building a little layer of super glue. And then I'm going to kind of push some more in there. You know? Put some of this stuff here. I'll tell you one thing, this desk is excellent for this. So we're going to super glue a little more in there. And I'm going to kind of try to make this even more solid. That's my goal, is to make this incredibly strong. So we're going to drip a few more drips towards the upper end. And then I'm going to kind of push all this into it. And I might even get some, there we go. So now we got like a really strong man. I'm gonna have to vacuum in here. I gotta dust all this out. There we go. So now, as you can see, I've got that whole front section kind of toughened up. All right, so that section right there is all toughened up. But I'm gonna probably throw some more. I'm gonna put some of this in here. I'm gonna start. Oh, but we also don't like to have the top of our super glue come off. So I'm gonna drizzle some down in here. And that's going to add a little more structural integrity there too. So yeah, that RA feels very solid. So now I'm going to try to check these detail regions. I'm going to use hibachi skewer. Yeah, my favorite makeshift tool for stupid stuff like this. The hibachi skewer. Anyway. I just glued it to the table a little bit. I don't know. No, that's okay. More structural integrity. Yeah, so there we go. I knew that was going to happen at some point. It just had to. That's my luck. Anyway, now the next part we're going to work on here is this corner piece that holds the door on. And this offers us several other opportunities to tighten this structure. I mean, for starters, we have this whole section. Right over here where I can fill it in with super glue, and it'll make sure that this section doesn't crack or break again. And then we can kind of fill this area of the structure up, and it'll just make it stronger. These are actually one of the weakest, these corners are some of the weakest spots on the NEC Versa. I mean, it's just how they are. And then I'm thinking I might attempt to glue these back on, because these are actually a part of the case. And it's a part nobody ever talks about. And I can totally make this thing like a, I think this one probably goes to this side. You know, and you know I'll get it right because I always test fit my structures before I do anything. So, those two there. Got this. I'm going to probably clean that off before I put this back together. But yeah, as you can see so far, it's been nothing but wild success, actually. Just kind of surprising, because I was kind of going into this expecting things to suck. First, we're going to build a mold. I'm going to reuse this piece of Gorilla Tape here to build sort of a flexible mold where I can kind of, you know, put this piece where it goes, like that, and then glue it on. And then I can swing it out like that. Then we dust in some stuff, and then we put it together and glue it together. Well, I use the baking soda super glue trick. So this is how I'm going to do this. I'm going to put my light focus on that section of the case now. And we're going to go in here, and we're going to start this process. First off, I'm going to make sure so I'm going to get my brush, put it in with super glue. Probably need it nearby, because it's going to be really crazy trying to do this with. Here we go. I'm not getting any super glue out of there. Did I run out? Let's take this off. So I'm thinking something with my applicator is up. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of pop this open. For all, it's a dollar store. And I want to see what kind of bottle is in here. Hopefully I don't wreck my bottle getting in. Reservoir or whatever the heck they're putting this in here. Yeah, it's just a regular super glue bottle in there. There we go. Yeah, I knew there was more super glue in there. Yeah. I mean, that's what was in there. Generic super glue bottle. Anyway, now I should be able to get some actual cyanoacrylate out of there. Yeah, there we go. And then we just push it on. Lock it in place very quickly. And then it should be good. And I'm mainly doing this so it just holds it in place while I do the other stuff. Now I'm going to probably powder on some actual stuff onto whatever got in there. Yeah, it's starting to hold now. And I want to retain this bezel wall up here, because if I don't, it's going to be just a complete disaster. So. Anyway, I'm going to pause for a moment and go eat. And we are back. I'm continuing with this. You know, when I was growing up, nobody had access to stuff like this. That's part of why I'm a skeptic, because a lot of mainstream science people know nowadays that, you know, it's like every day, everybody just knows about it. Not back in my day, pal. No, you didn't have you didn't have widely published science that would tell you about this stuff. Ever. It would be like, oh man, you're using dollar store super glue to fix a laptop. Good luck. You'll be forking dough out of your ass for the next 2 years on a credit card for that thing. Nowadays, dollar baking soda, dollar super glue. Man. Well, we do have it a little better these days. In that regards. I'm going to kind of build up this wall a little bit. See, this is how I'm doing this stuff, is I'm just building it up. You know, building it up heavy. Building it up hard. Making it strong. That's the whole goal of this project. You know? Save these old laptops. Save them. Bring them back from the dead. Gotta turn my monitor. I forgot to pause that. Whatever, fuck it. Yeah. Roku. You spend 59 bucks for a stupid freaking remote. You plug it into a TV set and you want to pause a damn thing. This is one of my pet peeves about modern shit. Is modern TV remotes suck ass. I have about like 6 of them in my living room. I have one in here and I can't even trust it's going to pause a stupid video. I like go ahead and click the button like 5 times. It's, your Roku is overheating. And they ship it off to the company or they tell you need to buy a new one. Or screw that shit. This is how I save money. I do all this stuff by learning the science behind it, doing it, and then I have stuff that just lasts virtually forever. And I mean that more figuratively. Wow. That is built like a brick outhouse, man. Jeez. Look at that. Yeah, this trick really works. I at least want the bottom section there to hold on. Let's see if it'll hold on after I take the Gorilla tape off. Yeah. So, yeah. It's holding up. It's holding up pretty well. And it doesn't even look half bad on the outside either. So it's doing its thing. It's doing what it should do. Oh yeah, it's definitely welding the plastic. That's like a chunk of gray there. So yeah, I'm literally welding plastic back together. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, got that part there. That part there, glued back on. Those are the 2 major sections I really wanted to get done. Now, let's take a look. We've got that welded back on. That looks pretty solid. Let's see if we can stick the door back on. I mean, that's kind of the whole goal. And actually, I'm going to back out. I'm going to discuss a little bit of my plans with you. This is one of the first parts for the NEC Versa I'm going to be molding. Because these get wrecked all the time. These and the back doors. For back here where, you know, the I/O ports are. It's the only one that ever survives is the door for the docking connector. Which is probably because nobody used a docking station for these things except me. At least that I'm aware. If you did, let me know in the comments. Maybe you have a crazy experience. Because I have the docking station right over here. I did a whole video on it. But yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna mold this part. I'm gonna use a Lumalite, and we're gonna just, you know, hold it. And let's see if it holds on, or see if I end up having to fit here on camera. Let's see. Yep, that's staying on like it's supposed to. That's a good repair. That's a dang good repair. Should probably dust some of this on the outside though. I keep feeling what feels like, you know, baking soda and super glue on the outside. I don't want it to like... Yeah, I've been told how this stuff works is it has an exothermic reaction, and the baking soda has a very similar sort of properties to plastic when it dries. And because of that, it makes it a really rigid structure. Anyway, I'm going to go through here. I'm going to go look and make sure I have all my little plastic bits here. And I'm going to kind of look into maybe how we can reattach this. Because this goes right here. This is what latches the battery in. And I've got a couple different things I'm going to be doing here to fix this problem. Actually, more than a few. I'm going to take all this out. Hopefully I can do this without breaking this. If not, then oh well. But I was thinking what I could do here What I could do here is I could pop this out very carefully so I don't break it. There we go. No, I just busted it. Fuck. Anyway, my idea is I'm going to take that little area there, and I'm going to take. Okay, so I removed this. I'm going to take that little area there. That little area there. And I'm going to, take that area there. And I'm going to attach it. I'm going to build up a nice little matrix of baking soda and stuff there. And make it a little stronger so this stupid spring stays in place. So what I'm going to do this is I'm going to put that there. I'm going to start just sort of filling it up with super glue and baking soda, and then we can fix this part. Just going to kind of build up a section there, like we do with a guitar nut. And just kind of glob it in there and build up a little section where the spring can't get out. So kind of got something started there, but it's not really working very well. Rip off some of this. I got a lot of this used up on here. Anyway. Okay, so here's my idea for this. I'm thinking there's got to be a chunk of plastic here that I could like stick right about there. So this little chunk right here. And I think if we do this just right, God willing, or another method, and this is the idea that I had before, this. Is that I could just stick this in here. Like that. And then that. And then stick this in here like this. And then we'll just stick those there and super glue them in place. Like that. I'm just going to go back to doing that one like that because I just think that is, it's not solid enough the other way. So and instead I'm going to kind of just the that kind of just be there like that. Now, for this part, I'm going to figure something out. Okay. So now we're going to start putting this section back together a little bit. I'm going to blow it out. Blow it out, dust it out. You know, this was more just to rigid up the structure, make it stronger anyway. So we're going to dust all this off because I'm going to vacuum all that up when I'm done. And then we're going to put this back together. And we'll see how long it lasts. Actually, before we go, maybe I'll try this right here and see how well that works. If I can find or think of a way of putting that on there. Or maybe I'll tackle it another time, you know, because this is pretty solid as it is. I mean, it doesn't need much. So we're gonna go ahead and dust off my desk. And there's the bottom. And I could probably do the rest of it externally with the laptop put back together. So what we're gonna do is this. We're gonna put that over there. I'm gonna put this over here because I think this would do much good for holding the spring in place. And I almost never remove anything. Now, we're gonna reinstall our motherboard after I put this back in, of course. This is the protective sheet that goes around all this zone. So there we go. Now is our motherboard. Take this little thing here, and that's going to go right there. And now we got to struggle with getting this in the case and try not to break any of my lovely repairs while we're at it. This is one of the most complicated parts of working on the NEC Versa machines, is getting the stinking back plane in. So we gotta, it kind of goes in like this. I mean, you have to kind of angle it a little. So we're gonna put that there like that. And then this just kind of, as you can see, it just kind of slips in like that. And it just went right in like it's supposed to. Going to make sure everything fits perfectly. This side needs a little more convincing than that side does, I think. There we go. And then we're going to slip that right over there. It's not perfect, but it's getting there. Let's see. This is the one problem, is getting these stinking input jacks in exactly the right spot. So there's the way they're supposed to go, is like that. Because I am a perfectionist. Alright. Now that we've got the motherboard in, now that we've got the motherboard in the P75, this is the next part of things. So as we can see here, we're going to put the VersaTrack back in. Where is my VersaTrack hiding? Here it is. We're going to see how well this fits back in. I mean, hopefully this is not going to act up anymore because it's going to be, you know, rock solidly attached inside. It's a little tricky to get it on because you have to fit it in kind of wonky way here, and yeah, it is not going in very easily, but it'll line up. Here we go. There we go. Like a glove. It's just going in like that. There you go. And that's the VersaTrack is now in place. And hopefully it should hold it strong enough, because my major complaint about this laptop has always been getting the VersaTrack in place. And this whole front section's actually supposed to be screwed in too, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. At least, not right now. What I'm going to worry about here is I'm just going to make sure that this is pushed down really good. Okay, now, here's how I'm going to do this. I got to fit this VersaTrack plug right over here. And sometimes I use proper methods, sometimes I use other stuff. Now we have the power board. And that's the little section where it needs a screw. But I don't have the screw anchor for it anymore, unfortunately. What I could do for that section is I could drill a hole in the bottom of the case and then put that other method in that I used, but that's probably not gonna fly here. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's a good repair. It's good and solid. I mean, now we've got the whole laptop back in place. Got to pull this out, and then we're gonna move on to my next round of repairs after this. But the first thing I want to do is I want to see about reattaching these. And this has got to be the most delicate part of this whole bloody operation, because I mean, right here we have, yeah, so that's the parts where they're supposed to go. So we're gonna very carefully place them like this. And this is kind of where, you know, this whole thing sucks. Because I really don't know if I want to go through the effort of putting these back in this way. Just a thought. Because if I put them back in like this, I mean, there's a chance they could move. So I might leave those. Now this right here, I want this whole board sturdy. So what I'm thinking I might do, I'm gonna maybe drill through here. And then we'll use one of those screw anchors I have in my guitar chest to anchor the bottom of this. And then it's got a good solid anchor right there, and it doesn't need those two in front for the stupid VersaTrack. So let's go take a look at this option. So, oh yeah, I found my other 4 meg memory card. I think that was the one that was in the M75. Okay. think we're going to put a proper CMOS battery in here this time. It's the M75's original packaging, and I put a different battery on it. Right now, I'm going to take a look through here, and I'm going to see what I can dig up. What do we have? Digging through my parts bin, I'm just seeing what we've got. One of the thoughts I had was these long screws holds. One of the thoughts I have is I could probably run it through one of these using a screw from my M75 in it. That's an option. Another option, you know, actually, you know what would be, what? I just got an idea. Just got a really good idea. I could reattach the latch this way. Or, I'm getting a lot of fabrication ideas. Getting to watch me brainstorm about how I'm going to fix a ancient laptop with stuff from my parts bin. This might actually be a good fit for right there. I can just, you know, make sure it's going to pull back. Okay, so now here is how I'm going to do this for this part. First off, we're going to test fit this part. To make sure it actually is going to fit and it's not going to interfere. Because that's kind of the goal here, is to have a part that'll, you know, turn on its own when I pull that lever underneath. So my goal here is going to be to drill a hole there and then, oh man, some of this is stuff that I could have been using the whole time. Anyway. Before I do any of it, what am I kidding? I have my stepper bit here, and I can just do it by hand if I'm just really careful. You just have to take your time. Yeah, I do stepper bit stuff by hand, believe it or not. And I do it very slowly so I don't crack the case. Yep, we're already through the bottom. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stick this through here, if I can, by just, you know, there we go. Now we're going to put a screw through the bottom, that screw. Actually, I'm going to take this stupid washer off, at least as far as this is concerned, because I don't need a stinking washer on this. Darn it. Anyway. Anyway, got my tweezers here. I can just kind of guide it over the circuits and lift it out. I'm going to heat up my soldering iron while I'm at it too. I just think that might be handy, you know, because I'm going to be replacing the battery and all that. So we're going to move the laptop off to the side for a moment. We're going to work on getting this thing off here. Because I don't really, this thing does not need a bunch of little metal washers on it. Darn it. I mean, really, does this thing need these washers? I mean, came off of something. This I think came out of like another computer. It was like holding a bracket in or something. And I took it out because I don't really need it. And it was a broken part, so yeah, I save junk screws and stuff like this because it'll be perfect for things like this. Anyway, I'm gonna try to unscrew it from its own little thing here. Actually, this is one of the tricks I use. Try to unscrew it from here. Get just enough like that, because this isn't going to need any usable thread beyond like the first little bit, so we're going to kind of try to bite that off. God damn. I'm trying so hard to get that part off. There. Yeah, might need to find a better screw for this. So we're going to go here, and this is the part. This is my big nasty bin of excess stuff. I think I found another one. All right, let's try this let's just try it with the thing on it. I mean, shoot, if it works this way, it's going to be awesome. So, all right, let's stick that screw through there, like that. And then this part right here just fits under there, like that. And now, just need it. And the problem is, I can't get enough screw through there because of the stinking two reasons. One, because of the darn washers, and two, because of the darn thing. So, yeah. Yeah, I actually modify my stuff. I know some people might not approve, but here we're about preserving and making this stuff work, you know? We're not here about, you know, a display item. This is something that's going to be actually run. Let's go ahead and see what other screws we might have. I had some of these that I already had kind of like cut. This was like the excess ends of those. So we'll see if this fits. And I think that might be the ticket right there. Let's try that. Just gotta screw it in a little bit first. It might actually be a bit better ticket than what I was planning initially because it looks like it's gonna work. Okay. So now we're going to take the laptop, we're going to bring it back up here, we're going to put this screw through the bottom, right there. There we go. That's actually like company regulation height there. Like, this actually is the way it was designed to be, so that might actually be the ticket there. Then we're gonna put this piece right on top of it. Now we just gotta screw it in. And we don't have to screw it in all the way. We just have to screw it in enough that it's gonna, you know, stay in place. So I'm gonna grab a screwdriver. I'm gonna take this piece under here. I'm gonna kind of just screw it in from the bottom and just sort of carefully screw it in. I'm not gonna force it too much. Actually, what we might do, give it a little more strength there while I screw it in, is I'm gonna use this. Whoa. So, yeah. Just want to make sure all mechanisms work properly. This is really hard. I might have to pre-thread this. Actually, it feels like it's turning. Actually, let's pre-thread this first. That's probably what I should have done. Anyway, we're going to pre-thread this. We're going to try to kind of hold it in place like this. And then we're going to... This is one of the ways I fabricate all this stuff. And I think it's because I had something happen with this. I think like some threads got jammed up or something on a previous attempt or to build something or something. So we're just going to kind of screw it in, make sure the threads are clear. It doesn't need that many threads either. It just needs enough to hold it in place, to hold this whole bit of plastic here in place. So now we're gonna, you know, this isn't the best structural repair, especially since I'm going through the original plastic and basically adding a screw NEC originally didn't have. But it's better than nothing. It's better than having your battery fall out, which was actually a problem with this. If you saw what I went through with the spring there, I mean, that was initially a problem with this, was the battery would fall out of it. And I had a freaking like 3-pound laptop battery land on my toe, my bare foot, like 5 times right after I got this thing. And it was just like, no, this is not acceptable. Yeah. So here we are. And it looks like it's going to work. Yeah, it's holding together pretty well. It's a little at an angle right now because it still needs to be tightened down, but now I got, you know, the threads cleared, I can probably do this. We're going to very carefully hold this down while I screw it in some more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Because the whole goal is you don't want it flip-flopping around underneath. And then I'm going to lift it back up a little bit because I think we might need some washers underneath this thing. Just saying. Because, yeah, there's actually a travel path there that expects some washers. So we'll be able to deal with that pretty easily. Yeah, welcome to how I improve rebuild. Yeah, and I'm not going to worry about this wall here because that wall is for the battery, and it's not likely to come loose because it's supported by this whole section. So what I'm going to do now I think I may have found it. See here. Oh yeah. So there's this right here that after we grind it down, it'll be perfect because it'll also support the freaking screw and make it something I won't have to deal with. So I'll open my toolbox down here. Then I'm going to file this little piece of aluminum down. Yeah, I'm working with freaking miniature parts here. This is kind of funny. But this is what this hobby entails sometimes. Especially when you're me and you're trying to build out longevity. And I don't know, I might end up doing a few more videos on this because I do have stuff I need to fix on the other Versas. And yeah. So here you go. Nicely filed machine part. So I can screw this into the bottom. Screw this in. All the way down here. That's nice and loose, so it's going to give it some give between the part and the floor of the case. So we're going to screw that in. And it wouldn't be the first time I did this. On my M75, I actually had a... If you remember the old Dial-A-Pirate Monkey Island Dial-A-Pirate wheel? I had one of those little gold thingies that goes through the center to hold it together on there. Yes. And it actually worked pretty well, I might say. Yeah. It should hold up. It should hold up pretty decently. And I'll just screw it in all the way. And I don't want to over tighten it, because if you over tighten it, it's going to wear out the plastic, and then you have a whole new problem on your hands. So this is kind of how I'm doing this. And then I always stick a nice little chunk of foam in there. But we'll do that afterward. So yeah, you can see my repair right there, where I put the battery latch back in place with some careful mechanic work. Now, the next thing I'm going to focus on is fixing the floppy drive, because we have this chunk that came off here, and here's the chunk that came off. And I don't really expect I'm going to ever be, replacing the internal mechanism on here, so I'm going to do kind of the same thing I've been doing with the rest of this the whole time on this, if possible. Although it looks like I pretty much just snapped it back into place and it's good. And it doesn't look like there's much to hold it in place there, so I may just, I'm just going to leave it. It doesn't really need the Superglue baking soda because I'm never going to remove it anyway. All my Versas, I'm never plan to use dual batteries because I never game on this thing more than, I don't know, 2 hours maximum. I mean, am I really going to need the 4 hours of battery life in an NEC Versa laptop? And my bridge battery freaking works. So, what's the point? It's just effort wasted. It said, There's some parts here. This is the biggest pain in the neck of this part. Getting this stinking pin back in there. Yeah, you got that right there. But right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up this CMOS battery connector to this modern coin cell CMOS battery. But before I waste my time on that, let's see how much juice is in that versus my other one. So let's take a look here. Put it on the 20-volt scale. And then I got my red right there and my black right there. I got about 2.20 volts. And then let's take a look at what my other battery has. And I think the other one rated about the same, so we might as well. It's not like it's gonna... And I'll just go ahead and disconnect all this, because, yeah, it just makes it easier. Okay. Now I'm gonna stick a bunch of foam back in here. I always did that because it helps with holding the battery in place with this latch. And then it just has to release just barely to like let go of the battery. And so we'll stick that in there. And now we're gonna stick our endoskeleton in here. As you can see, it just fits right down like that. There we go. And that part fits under there. So that's our endoskeleton. Under there's where our sound blaster is. And then this is our CPU board. You see, if you ever wondered where the Pentium processor in an M75 is, it's right there. I mean, what did they do? Did they just put like a bare wafer underneath there? Like a bare Pentium wafer, like what's inside the ceramic chip? I mean, because there's like... You wouldn't even know that was a CPU unless you knew what you were doing. So, yeah, we're going to put the processor board back in too. Which goes in like this. I'm just making sure that there's no dust in my way. I don't have a can of air right now. Oh, wait. Forgot something. This is something that probably people forget when they rebuilt these back in the day. These are the real hero that holds this thing together. 2 aluminum slugs. And there's one right here. And there's one right here. And they have to be just right. And then this part fits right there. So now we're going to take this abortion and junk it. Then we're going to take this, and since I already have wires on it, I'm just going to pull this off. I'm just going to cut these off. And this is the same kind of battery you find in a modern laptop. I mean, so it'll fit right in, and it's properly sealed and everything. And I just got to find my. So now I'm gonna snip some leads off the end here. I might put a little longer, because I always like having a little longer lead. Just so then if I put a good lead on there, just because it makes it easier to solder. And then here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wire that one around that way. And this one around this way. And then I'm just going to grab a little chunk of solder. Not much, just a little chunk. Oh, where did I put my solder after last? And then I get out my solder, which got completely jacked up in the drawer. And I'm just gonna use this right here to do a little bit of soldering work here. So now I'm gonna you don't want to spend too long when soldering battery leads. There you go. And just so you know, you probably want to use a longer piece of solder when you do that. The only reason I can use a short one is my hands are so freaking calloused from years of guitar and years of doing stuff like this that I can get away with it. So, yeah, kids, don't try that at home. Like me, I could just barely feel the heat after I'd been holding that wire like that close to that 500-degree soldering iron. I mean, lunacy, ain't it? I wonder how many people are going to liken this video to like watching your crazy uncle do crazy stuff with crazy old electronics. It almost feels kind of like I'm doing that. Kind of reminds me of weekends when I was a kid, like the guy up the street, like the crazy weird lawnmower or the cool car, you know, working on this stuff. Okay, now, I always do a pretty good job of this. I don't have heat shrink, and I don't use heat shrink. I use freaking electric tape when I'm doing just simple stuff like this on expendables. I save my heat shrink for the stuff that really matters. This stuff, and now this, oh, good thing I'm replacing this. Just let go on that side. I should just let go on both sides. What the heck? Okay. Hopefully my other M75 won't need a new CMOS battery. Here we go. So now, just stick it in there. And I'm just gonna hold it in place. And those of you thinking, you're touching your face. Dude, I use so much hand sanitizer. I need the Costco pack. Yeah. Here we go. I use duct tape for this stuff. It works. It works good. And there we go. And now it actually doesn't have a battery dangling dangerously near this heat pipe. Okay, now we got CPU board. We got that in there. Now it's time to talk about the keyboard on this thing and the power button. Power button right here just drops on right there. Yeah, that's how the power button goes on this thing, is right there. So this is the P75 and what's in it. And then I'm going to lock this. I think they made this mobile just so you wouldn't end up cracking the rear panel trying to put the darn thing back together. Then here's the keyboard. It's kind of laughable because there's actually a really good screw anchor right here. I mean, this is the same keyboard that's in the Ultralight, the E series, the V series, and the M series. But they decided they were going to just run the circuit board right through here. Was that like totally unavoidable? I mean, I can get it, maybe the VersaTrack logic's under there, but I don't know. It's just one of those things about this design that really doesn't make any sense to me. One of the few things I actually kind of think is kind of junky about these. I'm going to just stick a piece of foam in there. Normally. Nah, you know what? I'm going to look dangerously. No foam. Now, we're going to pop these connectors open, and we're going to redo these connectors. And now, we're going to go grab my bin of MC. Oh, man. So there's that plastic stock. But you know, I like my repair better. And if it doesn't work, we can just reinstall this later. I'm going to put that up there. And yes, I have a bin full of spares. Oh yeah, we forgot to put the bridge battery back in, huh? Yeah, I'm probably the only person still using one of these with an original battery in it. Or with a battery in it, period. And the nice thing is the bridge battery is right here next to the hard drive. And it's in an area where if it does corrode, it doesn't do anything to anything because nothing's around it has a problem with getting, yeah. I think in here I kept some of the parts that were originally for the M75. There's those standoffs I was looking for earlier because I was going to try and use one of these in there to screw the whole panel together, but that didn't seem to work. That didn't seem to be going well for me. Let's see here. There's a bin full of my earrings and stuff. I tend to keep valuable, hard to get tiny parts in here because it's just easier for me to find them. Yeah, marble, a mess. And I may just use the ones from the other M75 too, because sometimes that's what I do instead. And I don't really need the spring on the other side, I just need the little wire that goes through there. This is called fabricating your own parts. Yeah, that's not going to work. This might work. Ah, this might be perfect. I'm going to run this through here. Yeah. Might even just try it with just on one side, just to see what happens. That looks like that works just fine. Okay, now with this part of it done, we're going to focus on the other part of this computer. The top plastic. Before I continue, I'm going to go ahead and go tackle this. This is going to be a lot of fun. Got all these standoffs under here that are getting ripped out, and broken, and messed up. But I got a plan. I'm not going to have that problem anymore. Actually, I'm going to make these even more solid than they were before. And part of how we're going to do this is this standoff up here. I'm going to just brush it. I'm going to put super glue around it, and then I'm going to brush around the edges. What this will allow me to do is this will allow me to, you know, build up a layer of material there. I'm also thinking I might do something about this while I'm in here, because this part constantly comes out when I'm trying to put this thing back together. And that might be a good way to do this, to take care of the screen actuator in here, is to do that. So we're going to take care of a few things here. I'm going to dump this on. First up, I'm going to add some material around the edges here. Okay, I'm going to add some material around it. We're going to solder all around the edges there. We're going to build up some new material. And then, yeah, actually when I added it, you'd see it was already adding material to it and holding it in place. Actually, that's being held in really strong now. Yeah, it's perfectly straight. You can't really tell from here, but yeah, it's perfectly straight. I'm going to probably do this one too, right here as well, if I can find another part for it. So I'm going to add another layer of stuff here. I'm going to add a whole layer of stuff right there. And I'm going to dab super glue on it, or dab baking soda on it, like that. And that should hold it in place really tight. Ah, that's what's wrong. This piece fell off too. So, yeah, I'm gonna have to slip that under there. This would be a good test for seeing how all this works to hold that part on, because so far it's looking really promising. Okay. Yeah. So that's got some pretty strong structural integrity there. This needs to go right here. So what we're going to do, press that down like that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. So we tested that. That's actually pretty strong. It's got a lot to go on there too. So I'm going to go ahead and reattach that with some more super glue. We're going to do this really heavy right in this region too, because I want it to never come apart again. I mean, this is where the screen thing goes. And yeah, I don't mess around with that, this kind of part of the structure. So there we go. It's all put back together the way it should be, like factory. And there's the part that I was reattaching. That part has been falling out since I got this thing. All right. Now we're going to add some more to this part here. Another layer of super glue to weld this in. What's really nice about this particular brake is it's not going to be very hard to build it up after the fact, you know. You can kind of see it's actually building material around that. And it's actually the same color as the freaking plastic, which is really awesome. So I'm going to do another layer. There we go. Need to open this up and make sure it doesn't super glue itself in place. So I might need to take that off. Yeah. It's probably lack of good planning there on my part. Silly me. There we go. So now we're going to take that screw and that part, put it over there. I don't want parts getting all messed up. So we're gonna... This is actually also good for the rest of the structure too, because it's... We're gonna probably leave this one alone over here. So as you can see, I've kind of built up material around that grommet there, baking soda and all that. Anyway, I'm gonna try to kind of push some into, just to make sure it's even stronger. So there we go, got that part in there. Yeah, so it's almost built up to the top. Just gonna make it really strong. So it's some pretty good stuff there. And there's a little idea I kind of have. Let's go ahead and make a mold. Let's try this. And then let's make a little mold here and wrap it around pretty much level with the screw anchor. And then let's just kind of build up material through there. You know, mold material. Okay, so So I'm going to build a little mold here. Now, I'm going to try to, before I do that, probably should fill this part in. I'll get my magnifying glass. All right. Let's doing the work of a brain surgeon here. And so far, I haven't really gotten any. And so far, let me try and see if I can get that where you can see it. And so far, I haven't gotten a single bit of anything inside the screw hole. Amazing. build that up. Because the whole goal there is to get that nice and flat. And now we'll take this and it's basically like factory all over again. I mean, look at that. I mean, that's like the factory stem all over again inside the case. Yeah, you can see molded my own little stem there to hold that piece in place. It's, yeah, as you can see there, I built my own little stem to hold that piece in place. And I'm going to put a little bit of baking soda around here, around the edges. I want them to be filled in. There you go. And that, we'll just dust that off, and here we are. So I basically molded my own connector, baking soda and superglue. There you go. Rigidity. I'm going to have cyanoacrylate hands for a few days, I'm pretty sure. There's this one right here, and I don't know if we have anything that I can connect to that. I mean, there was another one of these little guys over here somewhere, and if I can find it, it's not just rolled away somewhere. Let me think. Well, I thought I would have had a few extra. Oh, there they are. There's actually, yeah, there it is, right there. So we have this extra one right here. And if I can just glue that back into place. Like that. Then we'll have that back together. And the way I'm going to do that is this. First off, I've already got Gorilla Tape covering that section. So we're going to probably put some baking soda super glue down in that hole first. And then we'll put the screw on top of it. And then flood fill this region with the BF mixture, I guess. Anyway, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some more of my foil tape here and build a mold. Once again, we're going to build a little mold that will just hold things in place. Just hold things in place while we're trying to fix this part. Just a little simple little mold, nothing too fancy. And then I'm probably going to put this part right over here like this. So it's all in that little spot there. It's all in that little spot because I want to keep it away from this push button. This is where it's going to get tricky because there's a push button for the on feature right there, and I don't want any of this getting in there. So we're going to kind of block that region off. Oh my God. Probably have to cut that out. Anyway, I'm going to, you know what, I'm going to live on the dangerous side here. Let's put some, let's first clean up my super glue thing here. Because I got like a whole whack worth of it on the end now. I know this isn't the most good looking side of me here, but I got to work really close in this area. I don't want anything to hit that battery there. So what we're going to do here is first we're going to make sure that's good and flat. And then I'm going to sprinkle, I'm going to take some baking soda here, stick my brush in it. We're going to take that, we're going to fill it with stuff. I'm going to fill it some more with more. I'm just going to flood fill the whole thing right there. And then I'm going to take that and build that back up. And then we're going to take that and stick that in there. Like that. And then we're going to make sure it attaches straight. I know I could have done this a little better if I had just done it beforehand, but this is going to be the trickiest, most brain surgeon-like part of this whole thing. Okay, so now I got to get this straight up right here, because that is where the screw went through. And this is not that great that that is sticking there like that. So I'm going to have to hold it. I'm going to have to hold it. And I put it in there like that. And that should No, that needs to be right over here. Darn it, this is getting tricky. So we got to get it right down there onto that spot. Like right over here. There we go. And now I'm going to super glue all around. I'm going to flood fill this area. Super glue. Might get some inside, whatever. I'm going to suck out the stuff in the middle. There we go. Maybe put my screw back on it. Flood fill it a little more. Whoa. Whoa, that's hot. Yeah, you can smell melting plastic now. Yeah, that's welded. Let's see here. Can I get this out of here? There we go. We should be able to make that work. If not, we can change the screw size. Yeah, look at that. Yeah, look at that stuff. It's just like welding it in. Which is kind of the goal here. Right, let's move this over. You can feel it's like hot. So it's actually really hot. So that thermal reaction is happening that I want to have happen. And that, we're going to go back to applying with this because this is just the way I want it done. I want it all heated up. And then we're going to do this real quick. Clear up whatever's on the tip. And it looks like, since it's metal, right, I might have messed up on that one, but we'll see. Anyway, taking out my mold and folding it over, because this is where that's supposed to go, so this button continues to work. Now I'm going to use this here to clean this out. Won't be the first time I've ever done this either. Yeah, I can already feel that plastic is really warm in that spot. Anyway. Let's see, and is that gonna screw in? Yeah, it actually is. Let's see. Actually screw into it. Yeah, it actually is. It's gonna hold enough. Yeah, that's gonna hold it. It's gonna hold it. Whoa! That's gonna hold it real good. So that part is fixed now too. Now the last part we're gonna attempt is this right here. This is gonna be a little tricky because this is like a precision section where I've gotta tape it, and then I gotta flood fill it, and then I'm probably gonna have to do some serious, you know, care work here. I use foil tape for molds usually, but I used the other tape earlier because it's just sort of, you know, it's the best stuff. So right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna realign those parts perfectly, and then I'm going to tear or cut into this section right here so I can hold it all together while I do a flood fill. So first, we're going to do this. We're going to put some of this super glue down into here. And that's going to fill it in. Like that. And then we're going to sort of work it into the place here. That's already working pretty well. I mean, already we've, we've already got a solid piece right here now. Now, I'm going to build just a little more material over that, just to make it a little stronger. Just a little material. This is going to be a real stretch. I'll be surprised if this part even works, but it's worth a shot. If it doesn't, I think another idea I have would be to take something like, I don't know, a piece of guitar string in there, like that. I mean, like that would have been probably perfect. But I'm not going to do that, at least not right now. Because I could see, you know, running a wire completely through here in this section to make it stronger. Right now, I'm going to take a look at the handiwork and see how it turned out. And I think we can probably reassemble her. Let's do that. So far that looks pretty good. Looks like it's holding together. You almost can't even see it from the outside. So we've got almost all this reassembled properly. I'm going to put this little wing back up here. I'm going to put this little wing back on here. Take my little chunk of super glue there. Take that out. Might even try some of this on guitars eventually. That was another idea I kind of had for this, was make my own switch tips and stuff using it. We'll see. Right now, almost. Oh yeah, that's not attached right. Where is it? Yeah, it's got to go in there. It's got to go in that little latch index right there. Otherwise it won't do like it's supposed to do. It feels a little more solid now too. So there we go. So we've done the complete undercarriage. You can see where I've done the baking soda repair right there with that screw anchor. If this turns out like really good, I'm definitely going to reproduce this on some of the other ones. Maybe even buy some new screw anchors and do it. But so far, yeah, it's been really good. I might address that one later, but I have a feeling that I'm not going to need to bother with that one just yet. Alright. So let's put her the rest of the way together. So now that we've got all this like this, and just to let you know, this is one of the internal differences between the P75 and the others. So the P75, this switch, normally all this is over to the right a little more. But on this particular computer, it's a little more left. So, yeah. I mean, so far, all these repairs have been really successful. And they've fastened the plastic back together a lot better than I was expecting. I mean, so now we got to match up the sides. And I was thinking we were going to maybe weld these in as well. But I just haven't had, I haven't seen... That one repair we just did with the keyboard in front, I felt like that was kind of, pushing it. So I think this might be more of a later thing. For right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two rods here. These originally were molded to the case. I don't know why NEC did this, because it was like probably the worst part of the Versa. These little wing sections here, and they basically fit. And the way you match them up is you match them up based upon what's under the keyboard. So yeah, I know which side's which now because I can match up the 2 dots there and the 3 dots there. And I'm going to try and get us a little more light this way now while I work. Okay, so now we got 3 light. You see how the dots match up? That shows you which way they're supposed to go. Now we're going to put this back on. And then we're going to put the top piece back on. Just dusted this whole thing out. As you can see now, we have everything should fit like a glove. This one's gonna fit back in here. Oh yeah, I gotta push that battery back a little, that bridge battery back a little. It has its own little spot back in there. That's where it's supposed to go. And then we got this one. So now how I often figure out which side these are supposed to go on and where they're supposed to attach. Like right now, I'm going to snap this whole front section in. This one is going to go right over. This one has the 2 holes, so this one goes on this side. And I'm going to kind of edge it in. It's like a puzzle piece, basically. So I'm just going to kind of snap it in like that. And that should hold it in. I mean, I don't have anything to hold that part of the case in right now, but we'll worry about that later. The one thing we can worry about, I know you're not supposed to put the battery in before you're done assembling it, but I'm going to do it anyway, because that's how I've always done it. Man. Yeah, we should have test fit the battery a little more, I think, before we did this. So let's see how it fits now. Battery. So yeah, I'm going to have to take all this off again. But at least now it's going to be pretty straightforward. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do about the battery now, because that's got to come out. Yeah, that repair is actually good. I'm kind of surprised. So we'll take this out, the power board and all that mess again, and we'll test fit the battery again. I think the battery is going to need some TLC. Let's pull this back out and take a look, because something's not letting the battery go in, and maybe I just need to... Oh, that's why. It's basically over here. Yeah, so it's basically being held over there, and it's not being held tight enough. So maybe I should tighten all this up. So we will. So now we're going to put the battery in and test fit all that. And actually, while we're here, I'm going to fix this part. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a look at this. This might be something worth looking into. Nah, that's going to be too high. So I'm probably just going to hope for the best here. Probably going to take a little piece here, actually. Put some tape on the bottom. Worked for my M75, so it should work here. I think some of the mouse circuitry is on here, and I think I figured out why the mouse keeps going out on this one. So we're going to do this. We're going to set that there. Top of that chip. And I'm going to set a little bit of this here, behind here. Make sure it gets pushed out. All right, let's test fit the battery real quick. Yeah, that's the way. That's the way it should be. So yeah, that was all that was wrong with the battery. Take the bridge battery, flip it back out. Make sure these two interleaves here fit. Make sure that one sinks underneath. Push that battery, make sure it's being retained against that wall. We pull our whole circuit board here with the CMOS battery and the whole 9 yards. Put this back where it was, so it doesn't scoot around inside the computer. And then we're gonna scoot that forward. Ooh, come on, there we go. Alright, now we gotta push this. Now we gotta get the CPU board properly aligned and push it back down. This is a little tricky because you have to make sure you have it just right. Okay, now we can put it back together. And, yeah, there's everything all put back together, nice and square. Put our top cover back on it. I think this will hold the board in pretty good. I mean, you could add a little more probably in front if I really wanted to. Actually, I'm going to do that. Because I still want a little bit airflow. So you kind of see how I really overthink my engineering here. You know, like look at and think, okay, am I going to put rubber bumpers on top of the board? I mean, because it might be the perfect clearance to hold it in place, but then you got this whole thing here, and I just forgot. I got to put all this stupid stuff back in too, because I forgot to put in the little metal bits that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, welcome to reassembling a laptop with creepingnet. Let's see how much stuff I can mess up and have to redo. Yeah, so we gotta put these back in. These are actually a part of what makes this thing structurally sound. Then we put the CPU board back in. And yeah, I'm doing it with the CMOS power applied. You know what? I've been doing stuff like this way for years, and I have maybe only messed maybe one or two things up that way because I know what to be careful of. Like right now, I'm considering where everything's going to sit when this thing goes back together. And I know there's like a center section here with a screw. I might be able to file that down. Anyway, now we're going to get back to how we reassemble this thing. So now I gotta put the power button back on. I've actually put this together like 3 or 4 times and forgotten that part. It's really annoying. When I'm on my A game, man, I can put this sucker back together like lickety-split. No problem. So 2 notches go on the left. Yeah, I'm detail-oriented enough to make sure that I actually put all this stuff back together like the way it should be. You can see I'm feeling around the case, making sure everything fits. I know that repair looks a little wonky there for right now, but it'll get better. It'll get better. Now we'll stick that one in. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I do before I put screws in, because it's kind of awesome. So the NEC Versa has 2 very key and structural feature that not a lot of people, I think, know about, or at least they don't think about it. They don't point it out. It involves this piece, and this, and this. So you have the Versa Pack hard drive, which mine's beat up. I'm going to be making molds for these, actually, so I can make new ones. I could probably make them in, like, cool colors for which OS is on it. Yeah, like, you know. So you put that in. You put this in, the memory card, 32 megabyte. Yeah, isn't this the prettiest memory card you've ever freaking seen? I mean, my God, they put artwork on it. And this thing's going to be under this cover the whole time. It's not like you're really going to be looking at it going, I mean, it's pretty freaking awesome. I love that it has pictures of CDs on it. Not a single one of these NEC Versas has a CD drive. It's like a native piece of hardware. Yeah, and then we're going to close this up. So this is how I have to put this stuff. You have to kind of push them together because there's a latch in here that latches this part shut, and that's what will hold the case shut while you're assembling it. So now we're going to flip it over. You see my new screw for the battery release mechanism. And then we're going to go ahead and install the screws. The first two are these two over here and here for the monitor connector. Now, so on the P75, the short ones all go across these back four, and the two long ones are in the middle because they go through the key, those little aluminum inserts I showed you, and then they go to the keyboard palm rest. I usually do the center one first because the outer one's usually the first one to give up. You can see it's nice and tight. Now, I'm going to probably look in here real quick because there's probably a few more screws for this in here. So let's put this one in first. That looks like that's holding pretty solid. Of course, I don't think that's the one we just fixed. That's the one that's been there the whole time. I'm going to go into my bin because I have spares. The others will turn up. So, right here we have a second one for right here. We'll see how well this one screws in. So, is it going to break? No, it's actually going in. Weird. Really cool, actually. Actually, let's go ahead and push that on there and see if it actually goes into its screw hole where it's supposed to go. So this one might not be perfectly aligned, but I might be able to get it in there. So far, and this one really doesn't need to hold anything together other than the motherboard, because this one's the one, yeah, there we go. This one's going to be mainly holding the motherboard and the palm rest together, because there's nothing in there to hold it in place. And then the last one. This is really annoying. Oh, there's one. I kept this extra sets from my M75. Now here's the other one we just repaired. As you can see, it's going right in. Oh, there it goes. Not going to tweak it too hard. So now we've got all 5 screws back in again. It didn't even have them when I started this video. I'm really going to have to clean around the desk. There you can see the repair work on the bottom. I mean, it's barely even visible, and it's not like it really matters to me that it has that, because, I mean, this is going to get used. This is a laptop that's being used. It's not a it's not a display piece. So now we're going to slip our battery in right over here. And it should just, yep, it latched. And then we're going to slap our floppy drive in right over here. It should just snap in place like that. There we go. And it's snapped in. And now we'll put the screen back on, we'll power it on, and it'll be the moment of truth. Okay, so now bring this forward. Maybe I can get it where you guys can see. Actually, maybe I'll just lean it up like that. And we'll do this way. So you can kind of see what I'm doing. Weird way to look at it, huh? Alright, let's turn off the lights. Alright, come on. There she goes. Yep, so she's booting up. And we're going to have to redo all my BIOS settings because we replaced the CMOS battery while we were doing this. And I'm actually reading what's on the screen. Memory test, we hit the space bar. I'm gonna raise my chair. Yeah. So it says, oh, what the heck? So it remembered everything. Oh wait, I put the wrong hard drive in. I put Windows 95 in. Yeah, it needs to run scan disk. And so I'm just going to skip that for right now. But yeah, I have multiple hard drives for this thing. I have one that runs Windows 95, one that runs FreeDOS, one that runs, other stuff. I've got multiple hard drives for this thing. And yeah, I turn the lights out deliberately so then you could just see what's on screen while I'm working. Here we go. Yeah, I have a Razer keyboard. I love clicky keyboards. So let's see here. Log in. I don't have any sound in this one. Yeah, I do. And there you go. I mean, she's running. Even remember the date and time. How the heck did it do that when I didn't have the... This thing is freaking incredible. I'm going to turn this back on. This thing is freaking incredible. I mean, and let's see, is the VersaTrack working? Yeah, VersaTrack's working great. So, yeah, we've got her back together. You can see we got 3 bars on the battery right now because she's been sitting around all day. I'll put my little door back on. Yeah, so test that button out that I fixed. Yep, it's working. Yeah, so it's working pretty good. You can see right here. Let's check the battery status. Yeah, we can probably put this thing on my guest Wi-Fi if I wanted to. A custom special Wi-Fi I use. I call it the guest Wi-Fi so people don't look at me funny. I'm at 60% charge. So you can see, yeah, just sort of roaming around. We're going to shut it down. We're going to put FreeDOS back in. And the main reason I did all these repairs is because when I was using it before, I would have this thing on my lap and this part would flex and things would come loose and my VersaTrack would stop working. I'd be like in the middle of like a heated solitaire game or something. Anyway, now I'm going to show you how we hot swap hard drive, or not even hot swap. So this is my other beat the crap travel drive. This is the one with FreeDOS 2.1 on it. That's what I use most of the time. So how we switch that out again, just to show you, just pop the cover over here off. Slip that little puppy out right there. Time will tell how well these repairs hold up, but that's Windows 95. I should label these. I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing it. Oh yeah, and I've conserved my labels. I conserved my labels. Check this out. This is the label from the P75's original hard drive. It was a 540. It's in my E. I put a DDO on it for the full 540. But it has a little tag that they put on there so the service technicians will actually read it. They'll actually be like, oh, I can't put this in your Versa 40 EC, ma'am. It won't read the full drive capacity. Then they meet me and I put Maxter Max Blast on it and it just rips. Anyway, we're going to put FreeDOS back in because that's what I'm usually using. And we'll boot it back up to FreeDOS. It's even keeping its date and time. Just so you know, these things are not Y2K compliant, at least not in the BIOS. It keeps the right time in FreeDOS somehow, but in the BIOS, I'll boot it back up. Slide it forward. Do functionality. this has been a pretty long video, but I think it's a successful repair. So, hit the spacebar. The key, the real teller, and I know I'm seeing in the dark here, but the real teller on this repair is when I go sit down somewhere and go play video games, that this, you know, trackball is going to keep working. I mean, that's going to be the telltale right then and there. Maybe I'll turn it back on. Why not? So, as we can see, I'm on my ultralight. You know, waiting for it to boot. Paused on the hard drive detection. Weird. Did I push it in all the way? Oh yeah, something didn't feel right there. So I bet you it's going to boot now. Just didn't have it pushed in all the way. Alright, let's see if he'll boot now. Kind of digging this new camera setup. I may remove the actual window on the corner though. There we go, we're booting into FreeDOS now. And so let's go pick the mode with maximum memory. Let's run this one. Let's try Ultima 6 out. Oh, let's turn that up. And it's letterboxed because it's an 800 by 600 screen on this thing. If I put my old 640 by 480 on there, it looks about right. Yeah, I need to rewrite my files to it too, because they're a little Anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at some other things. Benchmark. Let's see what system speed test does. Yep, there it goes. Terminating system contents, ISA plug and play. So let's see how far in we can bring this. Yeah, so you can see what it says there. Intel Pentium 75 megahertz, 0625 code name P54C, 3.35 nanometer process. Speed via TSC 75.16 megahertz, no MMX, no SSE. Visa OEM chip 65520, flat panel, 1 megabyte VRAM. All the Versas have 1 megabyte of VRAM. Unless we try this, I haven't done an ultralight yet. If we try like the first edition, the ultralight, maybe it has 512. I don't know. OS version, DOS 7.10. Yeah, you can see it says it's not Y2K compliant. Enter space. Anyway, that's enough for this video. We got it fixed. Only time will tell if my chassis sturdying up actually fixes this thing. But yeah, anyway, it's creepingnet. It's the first Mac video. I'm sure it's probably been a long enough watch for you, even after all my editing. Anyway, it's time for me to put all this back together and clean up my messy desk and get on with my weekend.